Hey folks, I hope you're very well indeed. Thank you for joining me on Talking Sonics. Now, you might have been thinking, where has Jamie gone? What's he been up to? What's happened? You haven't seen me since, 2021. Well, a lot has happened to me, massive changes, and it's a really kind of a confusing headfuck, to be honest. I'm exhausted. One, because yes, I copped coronavirus. I would say for me, kind of middle ground. It was not fun. I was out for about 15 days, completely delirious, lots of brain fog, not a nice experience, body aches and pains, headaches. I could not function for a very long time, and recovery has been slow and a little bit grueling as well. I mean, just exhaustion that comes with it. So that sort of happened for me early January. And on top of that, some really big changes in my life, including this studio space. And when I say that, I've sold my house. And so this studio space, and I'll give you a bit of a pan across the room to see how this is really being pulled apart. Is that it's a big change for me. And I built this studio about 20 years ago. I'm very close to it. I'm currently sitting here with bubble wrap and Stanley knives and packing beautiful things like these Neumann KM mics, KM54s, and loads of other gear that needs to go into a truck and go into storage for a little while before I contemplate moving house. If any of you know anything about what's going on in the Australian real estate market, you'll probably know that it is bedlam out there. It is hell. While on one hand, yes, for quite some time I've been wanting to sell my house and move with family to sunny Gold Coast, Australia. Big move from country Victoria or northeast Victoria, near the base of the Alps in Victoria, northeast of Melbourne, about 200 k's where I'm sitting here, northeast of Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. So the plan was a kind of a long-term family thing for my young 5-year-old son and my stepson, who is contemplating uni and other career changes, and also for my wife, who would love to get back into the working world. She's a bit of an expert in the print industry. Big changes ahead. Now, if you know anything about the real estate market, you'll probably understand that while prices are going crazy, and I've reaped the benefit of some crazy pricing, that after several lockdowns, almost 2 years of solid lockdowns in Victoria and Melbourne, everyone wants to jump the border. Everyone wants to get out of Victoria and head for the coast or head to somewhere where they really dream living. It's almost like, forget this idea of retiring later. Let's actually live where we want to live now. And people realize they can work remotely, and that's what they're doing. So, yep, we've also bitten the bullet. However, flying up, looking at property, seeing what is available, and copping the pressure of some pretty rude real estate agents has been awful. Also, the competition is fierce. I think in this month, we're now in February, January, there's been around 75,000 Victorians crossing the border looking to buy houses. There might be about 3,000 houses on the marketplace any one period of 2 weeks perhaps, which means that, you've got to be prepared. Go in and bite and be prepared to put up a serious fight for an offer to buy a property. Yesterday we managed to buy a townhouse in Southport, which is, if you know, the Gold Coast is not too far from Surfers Paradise, a little further north by a few k's, but the main beaches there are broadwater beaches, which are still water beaches behind the spit or behind the main sandbar beach. So we're not copying the big waves, but we're going to be very close, close to the Broadwater, which is lovely sandy beaches and a good opportunity. So For me, it's also an opportunity to look ahead and build a new business up on the coast, and that will be multimedia. So for me, many things. I mean, video editing, music production. There's a big film and TV industry on the Gold Coast, so I'm looking forward to touching base and learning more about who's up there in that field. I've only had a few trips up there, and I'm already finding clients for jobs, so that's very interesting to me. But commercial property and finding a space and rebuilding a studio of sorts, which might be more on the multimedia angle rather than purely music studio, although there will be certainly a music component to it, and I'll be able to get back into recording and whatever. So I may be transitioning from this place to, I guess, maybe a garage, or maybe sitting on the beach and talking to you. Who knows? I mean, there's many different ways of communicating to the camera like I am now, and I think Talking Sonics is just that. It's about talking about music production, talking about the emotions of being in a band or being a producer, or fighting to get a good finished musical recorded result. The whole industry as such. I'm going to have a scratch. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing, and we're all only humans. So for me, I'm going through quite a lot. It's been an exhaustive process packing up. I'm not only just sort of packing my equipment, I'm sort of tearing apart the studio. I'm pulling out sound baffles. I've got to debolt some diffusers from the walls, and find the right trucks to transport things. I'm picking up some new cases for consoles and different bits and pieces, and there's an Akai 1214 that's bubble wrapped here and getting put away in storage tomorrow, and the list goes on and on and on. And that's just the studio side of things. Of course, I've got a whole family and a house to move as well, so I'm pretty damn exhausted, but there are good things ahead. So, what might be ahead in the future? Well, a little before Christmas, I did a fantastic interview with Australia's most accomplished slide guitarist, Michael Flanders, who's gone on to be a producer in the United States, in Nashville, a fantastic multi-platinum country producer, a really talented guy. So I've got a lovely interview with him in the can. Unfortunately, Michael, that's taking a little bit longer to get to air or get to YouTube, but we'll get there with you. I hope that everyone can understand that, going through a reasonably serious bout of coronavirus is certainly not fun, and I'm still feeling kind of the downside of that. I've got a lot of lacking energy and a lot of packing work to do. I guess the other thing probably worth mentioning is, upon selling my house, the deal was I had to be out of here by February 18, which gave me about, I think I had about 40 days or 50 days to buy a new property and find somewhere to move to, which has not been an easy task. It's only been yesterday that we've found somewhere to live and done a deal on that. So yeah, that's a huge, huge relief. So moving forward, yes, the Michael Flanders interview. I've been doing a fantastic recording again of Black Coffee now. This was with producer Richard Stoles in Melbourne, who has been working with a lot of great artists. Paul Kelly, fantastic Australian artist. He's worked with Tash Sultana, who's taking over the world with some fantastic music. What a great talent Tash is, and we really look forward to hearing what she comes up with this year. I know there's some other special projects that Richard's working on for film and TV and Netflix and lots of things. So Richard's helped me with a recording of Black Coffee, the cover that I previously worked on, and it's taken on a whole new groove and a whole new energy, and it's just bloody well awesome. So, I started out a rock musician, and somehow I'm sort of channeling some sort of 1950s Tennessee twang, which is really freaking cool. I'm really loving the sound. Richard's got some great Strats and Fender Tweed amps and lovely echo, tape echo. So, he's really good at racking up tonality, and we're building lots of layers in this production. So I aim to share that for 2022. Here we are in 2022. And look, I think I really love to hear from you guys. Like, how are you going? What are you doing? What are you recording? What are your challenges? I've had some great comments, particularly about the recording vocals without headphones, and people have suggested some follow-ups on that. It's really caught a lot of people's ears and minds and thoughts, scratch, and it's fair enough. It's a new approach, or new approach for many, but for those that might have learned a little bit about artists like Prince, who worked at Sunset Sound and recorded Dove's Cry, I think, over a 24-hour period non-stop. What a fantastic track. He literally had a U-47 bang in between the studio monitors, singing straight to that, so singing live in front of the monitors. I'm told that was his one of his main setups. You can jump onto Instagram and have a look at Sunset Sound and actually see a photo of that Prince vocal mic setup. That's really interesting. And like production altogether and recording music is a challenge, and there's lots of little tricks. And gosh, there's a Geoff Lynn drum trick that Richard Stoles at Woodstock in Melbourne told me about, a reamping kind of thing. There's lots of little nuggets of information, and this Geoff Lynn drum sound, how does he get that Travelling Wilburys snare drum? Well, I'll just tell you, this is part of that tonality is reamping. So actually taking a recorded snare drum, off the multi-track, and then plugging it into a guitar amp. In the case that I've done recently on another track of mine, I plugged it into a little mini 10-watt Vox amp, and then sat that Vox amp on top of a nice snare drum. And instead of obviously hitting the drum, the sound coming through the amp, if tweaked to the right tonality, actually gets that drum resonating again. And then stick one of these beautiful KM54s, or a very sensitive, musical, smooth sounding condenser microphone, not necessarily close to it, but just sort of in the vicinity of the drum, to get some really nice sort of close ambient. I was in quite a dead room, but fantastic layering. So you've got kind of the natural drum sound, and then a reamped sort of tonality recording through an amp / drum vibration that gets the snares rattling, and I think that's a real Geoff Lynn thing. If you've listened to Travelling Wilburys or ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, that I grew up with listening to on a jukebox in Melbourne. ELO was all about thick, lush sounds and strings and layered acoustics and rich tonality, and Geoff Lynn's carried that through. So a great producer. Incidentally, I'll be honest, I used to hate ELO. I don't know why. It was something kind of kitsch. Maybe I found the strings a bit kitsch back in the 70s, the late 70s. But, as you grow up, you appreciate how those recordings were put together and what technology they had back then, sort of 1978, 79, pretty damn limited technology, and gee, they stand up well today. So music production is really about fighting for tonality and fighting for the sound, and it's not easy. And gosh, even building the right recording space is a big part of the picture, looking at your room acoustics and thinking about that, planning that. So I'm obviously going to have to head down the path of building a new studio of sorts. I'm going to take some of the sound baffles and diffusers out of this space and reuse them. If you have a look at my Instagram, you might see a sneak peek of a garage studio design, which was actually a temporary kind of solution I thought of with one townhouse that we were planning to buy, although we lost the contract. So we lost the contract on a technicality. We didn't get to sign the full contract on buying the house yet. The offer was accepted and then the offer was rejected. So lots of annoying technicalities on how to buy real estate in Australia at the moment. It's hell, on that note, I think I wish I was probably buying in Tennessee, like in America, like Michael Flanders. So Michael Flanders, the Brisbane-born slide musician. Great interview coming up, so stick around for that one. I promise I'll get it out there very, very soon. Sorry, Michael, for the wait. But yeah, for me, it's just a huge upheaval. I think we've got probably up to about 100 boxes packed of family stuff, pots and pans. Also musical equipment, of course. I'm up to the microphones. I went through a whole lot of archives of my band and my music recording history from the early 90s, found some classic pictures. I put them up on my personal Facebook for a bit of a gag, but I might put some up on the Talking Sonics Instagram shortly, so you can have a look at the crazy past of a band I was in the 90s called Degenerates, signed to EMI Chrysalis Records. It's another whole story, but maybe I should tell that one too. So look, please contact me. Please send me something that might uplift me, because I'm still lacking in energy after copping the dreaded coronavirus. What a bastard of a thing. I hope you're all safe. I hope if you've had to deal with it, you're feeling better. I'm feeling a bit more energized, although there's some days I'm just completely flat and completely exhausted. I probably look a bit pale, or I look a bit drained. Certainly sound a bit drained. But look, thanks for sticking with me. I know there's been lots of subscribers coming on board, so thank you very much. If you haven't done so already, please do tap the bell below. You know what to do. It's really good to have you here with me, and I will be back with more. I will be planning a whole new series of interesting things to talk about: recording, production, and being a musician, and my past and hopefully my future for 2022 on the sunny Gold Coast of Queensland, Australia. Big move coming up, so stick with me. Thanks for being here, and thanks for joining me on Talk Sonics.